Hello, welcome to Ephemera Files by Tommy. And sadly, I did not get a recording of sorting my papers and choosing my papers for my signatures for the redoing of this journal. And so I am going to go back and show you what I did. I did not get all of them trimmed, so I can show you how that part worked. And I had them in here because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be gator mouthed. And I have room in there to still add a lot of things. So I'm going to put my cover over here. I chose 3 papers that I wanted to be my signatures. These are from the paper pad, The Best of Susan Wingate, and I don't think that's available anymore. But I went through and chose several of the one-sided scrapbook papers to use in here because I need some blank pages to put pre-made items on and some of the pages that need to be backed onto something. So I have, I think, 2 or 3 in each signature. 4. Actually, I think I have 4 in each of these signatures. So the papers that I chose, there's that one, and it's got the dragonfly on it, and there's dragonfly on the cover. I think there is 1, maybe 2. This is a paper that I got when I went to the gathering at Big Mama Sandy Moore's home earlier this year in April, and it's really cool. And I've got 2 designs of these same colors and same squares, just the second one is larger, and so I have the smaller one and the larger one in each signature. Each signature also has one of my avocado dyed papers, and this is the original. This isn't a copy. I have children's writing tablet paper in here. This is one of the pre-made pages. Here's another of the papers from the paper pad, and a coloring book page that is blank on the back, and then the other side of it has another image with blank page on the back. Here is the third for this signature. I also chose some sheet music and cut it, let's see, for 2 of the signatures it was twice this, so I just cut it in half, and then one of the signatures has a taller piece in it. Here is the second piece of that paper with the larger squares. Here is the 4th scrapbook page, and another, this is going to be the center page. This was one of the pre-made pages from the journal that I am remaking. And I decided that these are the pages I am going to put into this signature, backing them on one of the other papers. And each of the signatures has 6 of the pre-made pages. And then I'll real quick show you the others with a little less talking, since I already explained on that one. Here's the other avocado dyed paper for this one. One of the pre-made pages. And the coloring book page. And then the central page. And then these are the ones that are going to be going into this signature. There's only 5 for that one, so maybe I had an odd number of pages. And then for the 3rd signature, one of the pre-made pages. Coloring page, avocado dyed paper. one of the scrapbook papers, and this is the another scrapbook paper. I think those two look so pretty together. And then here is the central page with the gatefold pockets. And I have little charms that I'm going to put on those gatefolds so they're a little easier to open. And then these are the pages that are going to go in the middle of this one. And that is 5. So one of them has 6 of them, and that's fine. That is not a problem. I need to go ahead and trim them down. I'll do that real quick. And I believe that I am, if I remember right, let me just measure because I don't want to count on my memory. 11.5 by 8 is what each of my pages needs to be, and obviously not all of them are. I am not going to cut this down because I'm going to fold it over and either make a flip-flop or a pocket or something like that. This is my favorite cutting board. I have a couple. This one's my favorite. This one is my favorite. And as of right now, I can't remember which ones I cut and which ones I didn't, so I am going to measure them. That one is correct and correct. And I folded that one already, so I will just do something with the long page. Right, so there is that one. And when I do this, they should all be, well, no, I missed. Oh, that was the long one that I just cut. Okay. So there's that one. I'm gonna put this big bulldog clip on it so that nothing slides out and I lose it. I don't want to lose anything. Right, and so this one, since I already know that I folded it before I cut it, and I know I want it to be 11, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this one down while it's folded to 5.5, since that's half of 11. And then I can go ahead and just trim that down while it's folded as well. That one is done. open up. Go. So those all should be the right height. Yes, they are. Another clip. And the third signature. I know this isn't the same as seeing how I put the signatures together and how I chose what was, going to go where, but I'm trying. I am trying. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do this one the same way as I did the other one, with it being a little off center, and then I will just make it a fold or something as well. So this is one of our pre-mades. I'm looking at this to see which part I like the best, because I know that I'm losing a 1/2 inch. And actually that's what I do on most of my papers when I'm doing something like this, is you don't just have to lop it off, you get to choose. If you need to lose a 1/2 inch and you want to take a 1/4 inch off of each end, that works. If you want to take a 1/2 inch off of one end, that will work. If you want to take 3/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch, it's yours. It's your journal, your creation. Do whatever makes you happy with it, because that's why you're doing it, right? Because it makes you happy to create. I hope nobody's doing this because they're being forced. I can't imagine doing it being forced. I'm not sure they could force me, because I would just be happy to do it anyway. All right, so the signatures are ready. And this is the order that they will be in. This will be the first one, second one, third one. The next step is to make sure that all of my pages are arranged the way I want them to be. Like that one's all the way at the top. I don't want it all the way at the top. I want it to kind of be in the center. Scoot this a little bit. That one's pretty well in the center. They don't have to all be in the center. Actually, I think I'm going to move this one down, because I don't think I want it to be in the center. I think I want it to be aligned at the bottom. But I don't want it sticking out past the other pages either. There we go. And that one I do want in the center. And then those are my extra pages. I'm going to put a clip on here to hold everything in place. And I'm going to show you a trick real quick. I made this jig, I guess you could call it, for punching holes in my journals. And I actually need to cut that off even on that side. So I'm just going to do that real quick. So that's a 1/2 inch, so I need to cut it right there. And this is how I get evenly spaced holes without having to measure every single time. I know some of you have seen this little piece before. It is just a piece of packing that came in something. I couldn't even tell you what, because it really doesn't matter what it came in. Just, I got it to use, and it's worked out extremely well for me. And this is how I get my my holes, my signature holes, yes, prepared. So I clip this on to hold this in place. I've got that centered. I didn't have to measure this time to center it because I know that it's in the center of the doily. And actually, no, I don't have it in the center. There we go. There's the center. It must have shifted on me. And what I'm going to do is where these holes are, I'm going to make sure that I'm over this block, and I'm just going to take my awl. You can use a pokey tool. I've seen people use a thumbtack. I don't know that my fingers would hold on to a thumbtack. I need more of the handle. And I am just punching straight through and straight down. And now I have my holes. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like doing a 5-hole pamphlet stitch just because I feel like it holds it a little bit firmer. You can use this to make a 3 by using that one and that one and that one, or that one and that one and that one. Or if you want to make a 2-hole pamphlet stitch, which I'm not sure if that's really a pamphlet stitch or not, you could do that. But I highly suggest making one of these. And let's see, I put them somewhere. Oh, here they are. These came in a packing, and those are even sturdier, so that I could put my signature in there and sandwich it and punch my holes. But I'm gonna have to drill holes in these, so that's gonna be a little bit more labor intensive, but I think I'm gonna try it, and then I'll make some kind of a block or something to set it on so that I can just punch, punch, punch. Highly recommend making a jig though. I have this, it's heavy duty watercolor. I don't even want to say paper. It's almost a board. And I'm going to, let's see. I just need to cut this off. So I'm going to cut off this curve. Then I'm going to measure here. Cut it right there. Make sure that it closes to see if I need to take, I think I need to take just a little off the edge. Okay, I hardly ever just cut freehand, so we're just going to see how this works. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to cover it. I can't cut a straight line. I have people that can cut straight lines without even thinking about it, and I struggle. Let's see how off that is. It's not too bad. It's a little wavy, but it's not bad. I am going to grab a piece of one of my offcuts of the scrapbook paper. Let's see which one I want to sit in the center there. Ooh, it might be this one. That one might be it. I don't know, it might be a little busy. We could do that. Oh, I think I like that one. I think that's the winner. And so to cover this part, this is what I'm going to sew my signatures to, and then I glue it into the cover, and that's how I make a hidden spine. I don't know if that is the official way to do it, but it is how I do it. And so what I'm going to do first is just put glue. Let me get this one. This one lays down a thicker line of glue, and that one lays a nice thin line of glue. And so depending on what I need it to do is which bottle I grab. And in these bottles I have 3-in-1 or Fabrifix or Fabri-Tac. I feel like they are just so closely formulated that they're interchangeable, at least for what I do. I don't know the official differences between them. All right, so now I'm going to take my ruler and just tear off the excess. Leaving enough to wrap it around the paper. The paper that I'm, watercolor paper that I'm going to be using, or that I am using to cover this up. Next, I am going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut off a little triangle here. I am leaving about 1/4 inch. And I am going to, I put my fingers on either side of the board and I press down so that that edge is on my flat surface, so that I get a really nice tight crease on it instead of trying to just fold it over with my fingers from the bottom to the top. Instead of just trying to go like that and seeing if I can get it to go, this works really well to get a nice tight crease there. And now I'm going to glue these on, or glue these together. And the first thing I'm going to do is these corners right here. You can see that crease right there, and you can see that crease right there. And those two creases I'm going to line up with the edges of the paper. You've seen me do this before. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's your first time with the channel. And if it is, welcome to the channel. Welcome to my messy brain. And so I'm going to do that on each of the corners. I'm going to line up the creases with the edges of the watercolor paper board. It's hard to do it up in the air. It's easier to do it when it's laying down on a surface, but I'm trying to let you see what I'm doing a little better. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little better. Yeah, it's just much easier to do it when it's laying down. And for this part, I'm just going to use my glue stick. And I'm first going to glue down those parts that we just folded over. And it's a mess here. I've got things everywhere. Probably looks pretty crowded on the screen, so I'm going to try to move some things real quick. All right. And you can definitely tell that I didn't measure carefully on the paper that was going to be folded to the back, because that really doesn't matter. I was just trying to remove some of the excess bulk and give myself a little bit of extra paper to work with when I'm making the journal to make cards and to decorate pages and such. All right, and now I'm going to come through and glue the rest of these ends down. And the way that I folded it earlier, by putting my hands on both sides of the paper and then pushing it down, is the same way that I am folding it over again, just to make sure I've got that nice line on the edges. There we go, and I like that. That looks good. Now for this part, I am going to have to do a little measuring. I'm going to put my piece down here on the lines, try to get it lined up evenly. I'm going to get this jig out again just to make sure that my holes are all going to be in the same spaces. And so I'm going to look, I cut it there too. Oh my goodness, my poor mat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my center. I'm going to put this on the center. And then I'm going to take a pen or a marker or whatever, and I'm just going to draw inside those little holes. And then, using my mat, but you can use whatever you need to, I'm going to move down a 1/2 inch. Still lined up in the center. I'm going to mark those holes. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm right here, and so there's a 1/2 inch. And now I have my marks for punching my holes. I have this hole punch. It's a 1/16 of an inch hole punch. And I just use it. It's not much bigger than the needle that I'm using. And I just punch my holes instead of just trying to use my awl. This is a little bit more controlled on the size of the hole. It's a lot more controlled on the size of the hole. All right, so there is that. And now I need to thread my needle. Measure how much I need. I go 1 and 2. And then if I think I'm going to want to have dangles hanging down in the middle, I can do that. I'm going to do something a little different this time. So I am actually going to go 3 times and maybe even just a little bit beyond that. And then instead of having to measure it again and again and again, I'm going to go ahead and cut my other pieces. Now I'm going to pull this over here, and I'm going to line this up, and this is the first signature, so I need to go into the first set of holes. And what I am going to do for this one, because of the way I'm going to bind it, I'm coming in from the back and then coming up through that hole, going down through the second hole and finding the hole right there and going through it, coming up and through this one at the top, it's away from me, I'm having trouble seeing. I'm showing you how easy it is, and then all of a sudden it's not easy because I think something shifted. There we go. When one page shifts, it can throw the whole thing off. I should have put a clip down here too, but I didn't. All right, and I'm pulling that up tight, making sure that my piece back here is not all jumbled up like it is right now. Oh, and my string came out down there. Boy, okay. So I'm gonna thread that back through real quick. Goodness gracious. Let's just, there we go. Let's just do that. All right, so we've gone up through the center and come to the second hole, gone down, and then come up the third hole, which I missed. Oh my goodness. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start it all over again, because sometimes you have to do that. And I think I'll put a clip up here. That should help. All right, let's line that up again. We're going to go in through the center, come up, go down through the second hole, and then we're going to go to the top one. And now back down through that second hole. And we're going to skip the center hole. We're going to come down to this hole right here and do the same thing we just did. We're going to go up through that hole, down through that one, and then we're going to go back through that hole again, just like we did before. And then we're going to go down through the center. Now when you come back out the center, it's usually easier at this point to go ahead and make sure that your strings are on opposite sides of that string. All right, so now I would like for these to be a little bit more even. So I am going to just adjust by finding out which string I need to pull and just pulling it like that until I get it a little bit closer to what I want. Let's see. Lost my place. There we go. And then I'm going to pull it tight. I'm going to go both directions and pull it tight. And then I'm going to tie what I have been told is called a surgeon's knot. And it's one overhand knot. And then you go to make like a square knot, but instead of just going through that loop once, you go through twice. And it makes a really nice, secure knot. I can hear people golfing outside. I heard someone yell 4. That happens a lot on Thursdays because those are usually outing days and they're not people who are used to playing this course. And so, yeah, they're not used to it. It can be a little hard. All right, I'm just going to do the same exact thing for the other two signatures, and I'll be right back. Okay, so they are all sewn in, and I've got all my strings right here, and I am going to make these into a tassel-ish type thing. And the way I'm going to do that is I am going to get them all coming out of the top, where the top will be. I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to glue it on across them right there so that they stay where I want them to be. So let's see, I had a piece, yep, of this, and it's the same width because it's what I cut off of the watercolor paper. My signatures did not go in straight. I don't know what happened, and I'm not really gonna worry about it too much, because by the time I get done with everything else, you're probably not even gonna notice it. Maybe. I don't know. If you do, then you know what? You don't have to purchase anything. Because I'm trying to teach you how to learn from my mistakes as I go along as well. So I'm going to glue that on right there. Make sure that my strings are where I want them to be. I'd like for them to be as even as possible. Hold that for just a little bit until that glue sets up. Should be pretty fast. Okay, that should be good. Now I'm going to go and glue this in. That is way off. Oh my goodness. Okay, it will be fine. Now I want to make sure I've got it right side up. I do, because I've got my music sticking out here, and so that tells me. Plus I've got my strings up here. And so I am going to get, I do a combination of glues. Don't always use this, but sometimes I feel the need to. And this is just clear Gorilla Glue. It does not dry quickly. But it does dry very hard, very good glue. And so I'm going to use mostly this one. It says to let it dry for 24 hours. So obviously it does not dry fast. Now I'm going to go through and just around the edges, I'm going to add some of this just so it can be a little bit quicker. Trying not to get the Gorilla Glue on my glue bottle. Now I am going to set it in just like that, and then I'm going to wrap the cover around. That way I know I've got it lined up on the edges. Now the Gorilla Glue wants to be clamped for those 24 hours, so I do this. I open my book to the center, just like that. And most of the time, I've had a few that were a little too big for this. most of the time this will fit on there. And then I just leave it to lie flat. This is just almost too thick for this clamp. I do have bigger ones that I could use. All right, and I make sure that it's still lined up where I want it to be, because sometimes it shifts when you're clamping. Yep, it shifted just a little bit. All right, and I am just going to let that sit for 24 hours, and then we will come back, or I will come back and get to work on getting the rest of the pages put together. Thank you for joining me today, and as always, be kind. Bye.